Well, I guess we made it to episode 2.
Oh,
The fans must have liked
wow,
us.
fantastic,
Right?
man. We're on a roll.
We're talking about what it's like to be a Christian. We're thinking about, and maybe you guys can confirm it was like Walk the Walk was an idea for the name of the show, and you thought it would be
Being real.
being real, because that's one thing about being a Christian is a lot of people think that, you have to be somebody you're not. And no, the goal is that you remain who you are. And you don't have to be perfect. Okay. So,
I mean, that's the goal,
yeah,
but we're not going to be.
clearly, I'm not perfect.
Yeah, no, I'm
And
almost
clearly
there.
he's not perfect.
I'm
either.
almost there.
He's close.
I'm still working at it.
Yeah. It's called sanctification.
Whoa,
I learned what that meant.
big
too.
word.
Big
man.
word.
Big word.
Well, so, all right, everybody, thanks for joining us for a second episode here. One of the things that I have struggled with in the past, I think a lot of people do, is taking criticism, right?
Ooh.
When somebody tells you, just wanted you to know that I think that you said this wrong, did this wrong, or do it better, and you kind of instantly put up your dukes. The knee-jerk reaction is to defend yourself, right?
Correct.
Is that the same thing? I mean, as a Christian, what would you say, oh wise one?
Where are they at? Where's the
If
wise one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was somebody behind you, but
Okay.
never mind. I'm talking to you.
Okay.
But just your opinion. How do you think people should handle? How should you handle criticism if you are a follower of Jesus Christ?
Okay. And that's a big one because even as Christians, we're going to be criticized even when we go to church by other Christians. We're going to get criticized outside the church. We're going to get criticized in the church. If you've ever been a church leader, which maybe some of you are, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the first thing I'm going to say is, one, you don't say anything at all. Okay? Because we don't ever want to say anything that we shouldn't out of spite or just out of knee-jerk reaction. So that would be the very first thing I would say.
Somebody literally says, I just want you to know that I think what you did, you need to change the way you do that. Because I've heard from a lot of people that ain't gonna fly. So I just wanted you to know and then they kind of like drop it and then leave you holding the bomb.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And you would say,
and
thank you for your.
That's exactly right. I would just say thank you. I appreciate that. And then what then I do with it is completely up to me. It's not, I don't care about what they after that, because the first thing I have to think about is I have to consider the source. Who's saying it to me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say that is this some enemy of mine or some guy that doesn't like me, or is it my pastor telling me this? Two different types of people and how I should respond to that. If somebody doesn't like me, I'm going to say, okay, whatever, dude. I don't really mind. I'll listen to it. But if my pastor comes to me and go, oh, you know what? I probably should pay a little attention to that. At least take it has a little more weight to me.
Sure.
Because
considering the source, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of the first thing. That's why I always say, don't respond to it. Just kind of take it in. Because the first thing that we want to do is defend ourselves immediately. But if it's coming from my pastor, it could be something that I truly need to work on that I'm just not ready to deal with it myself. And so I was like, because that's the whole iron sharpening iron Christianese kind of thing that we get from, because we want to be better. And we have to allow people to come into our lives and speak to us to help us in areas where we don't see ourselves.
All right. Well, so I'm going to have to do it. I got a scenario I wanted to run by you. So I was criticized last week by a coworker, colleague, and it was the old, you talk too much, you banter. And I thought, oh, it was kind of one of those, please don't take this in any other way than constructive criticism.
Yeah. And
then there's the comma, but, and that's always like that kind of, when your wife says, I really appreciate everything you did, but, and they're like, oh, that what you just said really is thrown out the window. What's the but? That everybody's got a big butt.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got a big butt.
Everybody's got a big butt. So my big butt in this was, okay, but sometimes you talk too much. And
which Doug you
surprise, do. Surprise. Anybody who knows me, yeah, he does. All right, so I'm aware of it. And I'm trying to control it, and I'm trying to I guess focus it or refine it to where it's easier on the recipient. Because I just kind of say what I think. Is anybody out there one of those have the gift of gab? And
I wouldn't call it a gift.
Sometimes I feel like it's a curse. Yeah, I really do.
Well, that's a whole nother topic.
Because I got a really good friend of mine who's the opposite. He's so quiet, and I'm like, "Are you there? Are you breathing?" And he's like, "No, I heard everything you said." So I'm trying to balance that out. So anyway, I was criticized, and I was thinking, "Gosh, how do I defend myself?" In my mind, I'm going through, well, I do talk a lot, and when I conduct interviews, I try to develop rapport, and some of that takes time, and time is money, and maybe we don't have the time. In my mind, I convinced myself that by having candor, building, taking that extra time, since I'm the one editing it, that I know that I'm gonna pull out these pieces, and sometimes how I get to that point takes a long time, but I cut myself out. So I'm trying to go through so anyway, the criticism hurt. It hurt my feelings. I talked to my wife about it, and then I go, well, I know this guy. I mean, he's not a jerk. I literally so it took me about 3 or 4 days before I could even allow myself to let it go. Now, God works in mysterious ways. I think nobody's said that to me in a long time. And I bet you it's time. I mean, I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to provide a medium for people that can relate to us and can find God or come closer to God, because ultimately that, I think, is what we as humans need to do for this spiritual journey on this earth, because after it's over, there's a whole other life ahead of us, and I want everybody to be there. Okay. So I had a hard time handling it, but I'm telling you, I don't think I could have gotten through it without lots of prayer and lots of seeking other Christian trusted
Wisdom.
friends to talk through it.
I'm going to first say this is a 4-hour recording that we're probably going to condense into 22 minutes.
That's right.
From Doug talking. So just FYI.
This part, it made the cut. The last 30 minutes is on the floor.
Just kidding, Doug.
That's true.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think the way you handle it was probably the best thing to do, because in James 1, he actually talks about this. And he says, as believers, we need to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Because we know, and he knows, and God knows that we're going to say things and do things out of reaction that are not right and not true and not the correct way of doing things. So by you stopping, praying, talking to other people about it to make sure you're kind of in the frame of mind,
right?
I think was wisdom showing in your life.
It knocked me. It really knocked me.
Criticism always does.
My kilter.
Nobody likes.
I was
criticism.
getting self-conscious. Yeah. I was starting to go, start wondering how many other people have had to endure this, and why am I this way? And then the devil in my mind starts to get a hold of you and go, that's right.
Yeah.
I've told you all along. And now you believe me, don't you? And I'm like, no. And I start thinking, well, Moses was chosen and he had a speech impediment. He said, why God me? I can't even articulate. And God said, what? You're perfect. And so there's where I'm like, okay. And I start to, all right, brush it off. Stop overthinking it, Doug. And also benefit of the doubt. One of those things like, why do you have to automatically assume that person, though it came across to you as harsh, why you think it was meant to be deliberate or mean, or even if it was, what could I do differently? How do you, if somebody punches you in the face, you're supposed to punch back.
No, you're not.
Right?
No, as men, I get that. First off, there's different types of relationships that I also look at. I have a different relationship with you than I do, someone else, or my accountability partner that I've had for 18 years, where I allow guys to speak into my life to say, hey, if you see something in me that needs to change, I want you to tell me. So that way, when they do come to me, I've given them permission.
Yeah. Now
I can go, oh, okay, I really need to listen to that. Some people think it on their own to do that. But however, if it's a person that we work with, or person that they may want us to be better, and they can see an area that we might be able to shift,
and they're willing to step out on that limb, take one for the team.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're sacrificing a relationship here by doing that, by wanting to help. So
there are opinionated people. One of my other good friends, that his wife was like, I'm that one. I'm the one. Everybody's seeing what this guy's doing, and he's a jerk. So guess what? I'm gonna let him know.
Yeah.
And she goes out on that limb and says, just want you to know that your words were not welcome, and here's why. And then I asked her, so what do you expect the outcome to be? What do you expect their reaction to be when you say that? And you say it very forcefully, very kind of like, just so you know, and almost like boom, poke. It's hard to and there's other people who go, it's not my job to judge. I'm not the person to let this person know that you're doing something that a lot of people don't like. And that's a hard place to be sometimes.
Well, and one of the other problems is people like to put it into like a text or an email where there's no emotion to it. And that's probably one of the worst ways to communicate these days, but yet we're such a digital age that
Good point.
Because you don't know how that person is portraying it to you, and you're taking it in a way that they weren't even intentionally doing that to you. So there's a two-way communication there that we have no clue how to take it and how to respond to it. So in my mind, if I am ever led to talk to somebody, I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
That way they can see my reaction and know that it's coming from a place of love, and we can talk about it versus some kind of medium.
That's a good way to think of it. I'm a touchy-feely guy, so I think about things and I think about people's feelings. And there's people out there that are very just black and white, or they might say, let's just play it straight. Let's just not deviate from this. And I'm like, yes, that's what we should probably do more of. So that's another thing. Anything else that comes to your mind before I turn my paper over?
Yeah. The other thing is, when I think of criticism, regardless of who it is, I do think there is a little bit of truth in whatever's being spoken. Even if it's not always fully truthful, there might be an underlying thing that, hey, what can I learn from this?
And that's the point. You have to allow yourself to say, to deny it and go, look, I know I'm that way, but I'm not changing for you. Or are you receptive and go, gosh, and you take it for what it's worth and not anything else.
Well, and I look at, us growing people in every aspect. If we want to get better, there's always pain that goes along with it. And the analogy that I use is working out. If you're trying to grow your muscles and get bigger, you have to stretch and tear those muscles apart, which hurt, in order for them to grow back and become stronger.
I like that.
Same thing with our faith. Same thing with how we grow just personally. We have to allow ourselves to be torn apart a little bit so we can grow back stronger when that happens.
We could actually even tie that back to the previous episode when we talked about differences in political views, right? Because
Absolutely.
you're attacked, you might feel like, but maybe if you're put in your place, maybe that hurt, and now you're gonna like grow back and go, well, I see things a little differently now because somebody called me out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to step out on that limb. And because it's dangerous, because that can hit your core, and it could potentially throw you off the freaking mountain.
Which is why we need to be talking to people.
Yes, and to open that dialogue so it's more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Honestly, because right now I think it's either going to be him or me.
Yeah.
You're either for us or against us. It's either black or white. And there is a common, there are things in the middle.
We're common.
Thank you.
Okay. I hate it when I hear I can't be friends with them because they are left or they are right, it just infuriates me. And I know I'm not supposed to be angry, but that angers me.
Yeah.
It does. That's not how it's meant to be.
I probably said those words at some point within the past 5 years. I'm pretty sure I've said or thought, I thought I can't be friends with this person anymore.
Yeah.
But you've known him for 20 years. Yeah, but I thought I knew him. But if he thinks that's it.
Well,
that's hard.
Man,
it was so.
If we judge relationships on making sure people agree with everything that we said, we would not have any relationships at all.
It really does hit like a lot of people. If you are one of those people, and you are, and I know who you are. Look, I mean, we all feel like we have pride, a sense of pride. We want to feel good about ourselves. We don't like to be knocked down. We don't like to be put in our place. But if you do get in a situation where you are put in your place, or somebody attacks you, or you feel like you're being attacked based, what you did, what you said, what you meant, there's an opportunity, I think, to kind of look inside and not just immediately go, la 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 la, you're wrong. I don't care. I'm not talking. You're no longer my friend. Shut the door.
Yeah. No.
Because that's easy to do.
Yeah. It's no longer you're my friend. You're now my enemy.
Right.
And that's, I mean, we have taken this to extremes in this country, which is absolutely horrible. Families are ripped apart. Relationships are ripped apart. Friends are no longer friends. And it's just a horrible place to be.
Wouldn't you say, though, over time, over maybe even the past 10 to 15 years that, I kind of use Howard Stern as an example because he kind of reset the bar.
He's such a good person.
I listen to him a lot, but he redefined. I mean, it's almost saying everything is a shock, Josh. Everything.
Yeah, he was
shock
shock value.
Awesome. Really? You're always awesome? It's okay to be, I'm good. So sometimes when you criticize somebody, it might have been a lot more softer approach, but you feel like you've got to overemphasize or make it extreme in order for that person to get it. And I think if you talk about what you watch on TV and what you listen to, that input could essentially determine what output you give to other people.
Yeah. And we talked about that last time too.
We did.
Absolutely, it does.
And so your reaction to people who criticize you can largely be attributed to, I'm just making this up, is this true? Based on
what you're watching.
What you're watching and hearing, but also your dedication to God and walking the walk.
Absolutely.
Because therefore, when you are presented with something that is a trigger that might get you angry, you can go, like you said, pause and think about it. What's the verse in the Bible? If you're struck on one cheek,
turn the other.
Turn the other.
Absolutely. Offer them the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just turn it; it's give it to them. Because we're not supposed to react like that.
So in that scenario, I think I said, I appreciate your honesty. I'm aware of my talkability and sometimes lack of restraint. Tell me, is there anything more that because that's hard.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So one of the
what you don't like about me.
No. I was just going to the one that I had in my life. It actually made me laugh because it was at a previous employment. My boss and I, who was a believer, and we just decided one morning because I was in management, he was a director, and he goes, "What if we just got together early in the morning, had a little Bible study before we started our day, and we prayed for the coworkers, the people that worked for us?" And I'm like, man, what a novel concept. Well, I would love to. So we started meeting in his office. We closed the door so nobody would know what was going on because it was it is taboo when you bring religion or Bible into
you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, and so what happened was it ended up getting out to the people that we were having a Bible study and praying for people. The VP of HR called us and said, "You Moses followers need to stop."
Really?
Yeah. So I consider that a criticism, versus that. And then, I initially got angry. I didn't say anything, but I really let it affect me for a long time. But sometimes we just go, okay. As a Christian, I could have made a big deal about it. I could have done something I shouldn't have done, hurt my witness. But my boss and I just looked at each other and go, you know what? We'll stop. And then we'll maybe go someplace else. And so sometimes you just kind of stop
hard,
and do
man.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because
you feel like, well, I know that, I should be able to do this.
Should.
But there's always somebody who's not of the same faith who go, if they, then why not me?
Well, I wanted to tell him first, I don't follow Moses.
Right. Right. Really? That's what you're going to tell me? Moses followers?
Yeah, I know, right? It just made me laugh. But, that was part of the considering the source. And I was still kind of walking through all that. But sometimes it's doing absolutely nothing.
Do you think that over time, when you start walking the walk, and that means sacrificing a lot of things and, letting go and trusting that the ability over time, you develop the ability to handle difficult confrontational type things a lot easier? Oh, wise one. I know you're gonna hate that. You're gonna like, dude, I'm not,
No.
but I'm 2. You're 22.
Yeah.
So big brother.
It's like anything else. The more you exercise it, the easier it becomes. The more and more you use it. It's like our faith.
That's a good way to say it.
As we progress, because when you're first starting off and God's telling you to step out onto that ledge, and you're doing something that you're uncomfortable doing, the first time you do it, it is so hard to do it. But after a lot of times you start doing it, and now it just becomes easier and easier. And so it's actually just doing it. Now we're going to fail.
The fear factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might say it the wrong way, but at least you did it.
Well, and the other thing is, if we do it the wrong way, apologize. So if you do end up saying something that hurts somebody else, you got to apologize. I mean, you got to be that person. That takes even, like we mentioned last time, even a bigger man.
Yeah. So criticism / apology. I mean, I'm familiar with that. The apology. I maybe sometimes over apologize, because if I did, I want you to know I didn't mean it. But there are a lot of people have struggled with actually saying I'm sorry instead of, all right, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry you felt that way about it. No. I mean, look, literally, dude, I care about you. I said this, I hurt your feeling. I can obviously tell that it affected you. And man, that's the last thing I meant. So just for what it's worth, I just want to say I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
That goes a long way.
Huge. Yeah.
I mean, it almost gives you, they say, a free pass. But there's been times in my marriage and in my family when I know I did something wrong and I just went, you're right. I'm sorry. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Absolutely.
Because guess what? You look for how you're right all the times and you totally isolate yourself. Being happy means you're willing to let things go. And I think if you're being criticized, just know that the power of letting it go, the power of saying, putting it where it belongs and going, even if you want to get as far as saying, nice try, devil, not the person who criticized you, but the insinuation.
It could be the devil.
That I received it with tainted intentions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way. Well, you said this. Now logic comes in. Well, when I said that, I thought you knew. Oh, so you weren't? No. Oh, sorry. Now I'm sorry that I thought that you were, So just being willing to look inside yourself.
Absolutely.
I think is a big part of handling criticism as a Christian. I mean, if you're not a Christian, just get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
That's it. You're screwed if you're not a Christian, because us Christians, we know how to handle it.
We got
it all covered.
Yeah.
Not. So anyway, I think that hopefully there was a nugget in there. If you criticize people, know that it can affect their lives for a period of time that could be brief or could be forever. So just be careful when you step out on that ledge, that you know that you're risking some things, maybe even a personal relationship. And if you're on the other side and you do receive that criticism and it might seem harsh, I would recommend, based on my personal experience, to just pause and turn the other cheek. I'm sorry you felt that way. Is there anything else that and literally pray about it and figure out how it can become more comfortable. So the next time somebody criticizes you, might go, gosh, you're right. I did it again. Gosh, what was I thinking? And now I'm human. And now they're going, oh, the guy doesn't get hung. I can't tell this guy anything because he gets so defensive all the time.
Well, and the last thing I would say is, if you do have something that you want to criticize them, and maybe it's for their good, ask them if it's okay to do it. Say, do you mind if I share something that I've noticed here lately?
That's a very tough question to answer too.
It is.
Like, I think you can. And how deep you want to go?
Yeah, and sometimes that kind of lets the guard down. Okay, and you're getting permission to do that. So yeah, just as a thought.
And surround yourself around people that you can open up with to do that.
Absolutely.
All right. Hopefully that gave you something to think about. And y'all have a great rest of your day and a great week.
And if y'all have any other questions that you want us to cover, be sure to put that in the comments. We'd love to tackle them all. So.
And send it to Ryan's personal email, which is just kidding. Nope. All right, y'all, be good. Peace out.
Bye.